7 Griffon Vultures were released over Sardinia on a quiet October morning. Scientists hoped they would survive the winter. Within weeks, one of them was floating dead in the sea off Serpentara Island. Another, a bird named Life, was found poisoned under a bush in the countryside between Padria and Montresta. The team had every reason to call the project a failure. Instead, 12 years after the first release, there are now more than 500 Griffon Vultures flying over Sardinia. The carcasses that used to rot in the hills for weeks are gone within hours. A network of disease that nobody had been measuring is being shut down in real time. And the strangest part of the story isn't how many vultures came back. It's what their return revealed had been quietly broken for almost a century. This is the story of how an island lost the ugliest bird in its sky, didn't notice for 60 years, and then watched the entire rural economy begin to heal the moment that bird came home. To understand what happened, you have to go back to the 1930s. In that decade, Sardinia was home to somewhere between 800 and 1,200 Griffon vultures. They nested in the cliffs of the Supramonte. They circled over the Gennargentu Mountains in the center of the island. They drifted in spirals over the pastures around Oliena, Bosa, and Alghero. There were so many of them that nobody paid attention to them at all. They were just part of the sky. Then they began to disappear. Not in one event, not from one cause. The Sardinian Griffon population was killed slowly, decade by decade, by a combination of forces that almost nobody connected at the time. Shepherds laid out poisoned baits to kill stray dogs that were attacking their sheep. Farmers laced carcasses with strychnine and other pesticides to kill foxes and wild boar. Hunters shot ungulates with lead shot, and when the vultures came down to scavenge what was left in the field, they swallowed the lead with the meat. Sometimes the birds were killed deliberately, shot out of the sky by people who believed, wrongly, that vultures attacked living livestock. They never did. They had no interest in living animals. But the rumor was enough. By the 1980s, Griffon vultures had completely vanished from central and eastern Sardinia. The Supramonte cliffs were empty. The Gennargentu was silent. The last remaining colony was holding on in a narrow strip of coast in the northwest of the island, between the towns of Bosa and Alghero. And even there, mass poisoning events in 1997, 1998, and again in 2006 wiped out entire flocks at a time. Dozens of birds dying in a single day. Years of slow recovery erased in an afternoon. By 2014, biologists counted the entire Griffon vulture population of Sardinia. The number was around 60, from over 1,000 birds across an entire island, down to 60 animals huddled in one corner of one coastline. 2 of the 3 large vulture species that had once lived on Sardinia, the cinereous vulture and the bearded vulture, were already completely extinct from the island. They were gone forever. And here is the part of the story that most people miss. Nobody panicked, because from the surface, Sardinia looked fine. Tourists still came. The cliffs were still beautiful. The shepherds still moved their flocks through the mountains the way their grandfathers had. The landscape looked, by every visible measure, healthy. Nobody was walking around saying the island was broken, because nothing dramatic was happening. The damage was invisible. The damage was a thing that had stopped happening. What had stopped happening was the cleanup. Griffon vultures are not pretty animals. They have bald, wrinkled necks and hooked beaks designed for tearing through tough hide. They look prehistoric, because they essentially are. But what they do, ecologically, is something almost no other animal on Earth can do. Their stomach acid is so corrosive that it neutralizes pathogens that would kill almost any other scavenger. Anthrax, botulism, salmonella, brucellosis. A Griffon vulture can swallow material from a carcass riddled with anthrax spores and walk away unaffected. The disease dies inside the bird. A flock of Griffon vultures can strip a dead sheep or a dead cow to clean white bone in less than an hour. Hours, not days. They locate carcasses by sight, soaring at altitudes where they can scan miles of terrain at a time. When one bird drops, the others follow. The carcass disappears. The pathogens go with it. The ground gets cleaned. When that service stopped in Sardinia, nothing announced it. Carcasses began to linger longer. Feral dogs and rats began to feed on them instead of vultures. The disposal that had been free, automatic, and ancient was suddenly a cost. Farmers had to bury their dead livestock or pay to have them removed. Local authorities began to spend money on incineration, and the disease ecology of the island began to drift in a direction that, again, almost nobody was measuring. This same pattern, by the way, played out catastrophically in India in the 1990s, when vultures there collapsed. The result on the Indian subcontinent was a measurable explosion in feral dog populations, a spike in rabies cases, and additional human deaths that researchers later estimated in the hundreds of thousands. The vultures were Keystone species. When they vanished, the system shifted, and the shift cost lives. Sardinia was, on a smaller scale, walking the same road. In 2014, the University of Sassari, the regional forestry agency, Forestars, the Sardinian Forestry Corps, and the Vulture Conservation Foundation began making a case to the European Union. They wanted funding for a project that, on paper, sounded almost too simple. Bring back the Griffon Vulture, not to a zoo, not to a wildlife park, to the wild cliffs of Sardinia. Let the bird do its job again. In 2015, they got the funding. The project was called Life Under Griffon Wings. The budget was modest. The strategy was unglamorous. They built a wildlife rescue center at Bonasai. They trained anti-poison dog units to find and destroy illegal poisoned baits before vultures could eat them. They worked with the local power company to insulate the deadliest stretches of power line. And they began to import rescued vultures from Spain, mostly from the Extremadura region, where birds injured or weakened in the wild were being rehabilitated and had nowhere to go. Those Spanish birds arrived in Sardinia, were quarantined, checked, and held in acclimatization aviaries for months at a time. The aviaries were designed to reduce stress, allow the birds to imprint on the local landscape, and let the team monitor them constantly. Then, when the moment was right, the doors opened. The early years were brutal. A bird named Life, a male hatched in 2014 and rescued with a fractured wing, was finally released in the summer of 2017 after 2 years of rehabilitation. He flew well. He explored the Bosa feeding area. His GPS tracker showed him visiting the safe zones around Pozzo-Maggiore, Montresta, and Sindia. And then, on a single day, his signal stopped moving. For 2 days, the position didn't change. On the third day, a ground team found him under a bush, dead, poisoned. He had survived 2 years in a cage and a few weeks in the wild. Other birds drowned. Others were electrocuted on power lines that hadn't been insulated yet. Others simply vanished. Every loss became a data point. Every poisoned carcass found by the anti-poison dog units became a criminal investigation. 2 breeders were eventually indicted. Poisoning events were documented in Laeru, Samugeo, Sassari, Macomer, Birori, Tuili, and Alghero. The project wasn't just releasing birds, it was rebuilding the conditions under which a vulture could survive in Sardinia at all. And then, sometime around 2019, the numbers started to move in the other direction. The population in the northwest, which had been stuck around 60 birds for years, climbed past 100, then past 150, then past 200. By 2019, surveys counted between 230 and 250 individuals. The breeding pairs in the Bosa Cliffs started laying more eggs. More chicks fledged. Postnatal mortality, which had been crushing the recovery for decades, began to drop. That was when the second project launched. Life Safe for Vultures, with a budget of over €3 million, with one ambitious goal, not just to stabilize the colony in the northwest, but to push Griffon vultures back into the rest of Sardinia. The center, the east, the south, the historical ranges they had abandoned 40 years earlier. They built a new acclimatization aviary at Villa Salto in the southern Guerre region. They imported more rescued birds, this time from a wider network. Extremadura in Spain, but also the Netherlands, the Czech Republic, and France. 68 vultures were released from the southern aviary alone between 2024 and 2025. They expanded the network of carni, the supplementary feeding stations on cooperating livestock farms, where vultures could find safe, uncontaminated food, while the broader poisoning problem was still being addressed. And then the GPS data started telling a story that nobody on the team had quite let themselves imagine. A group of 21 vultures, released near Villa Salto, did not disperse and wander away the way young vultures usually do. They stayed. They formed a stable colony in the Sette Fratelli mountain range in southern Sardinia. The first wild griffon colony in the south of the island in over 40 years had just established itself. From scratch. Out of rescued birds shipped across the Mediterranean in crates. A second group, released a different season under different conditions, did the opposite. They became explorers. Within weeks, they were flying north, climbing the spine of the island, and the GPS pings started coming in from the Gennargentu Mountains, the exact range the vultures had abandoned in the 1980s. The cliffs that had been silent for 2 human generations. A bird that had been rescued in Spain, flown to Sardinia in a box, and released from an aviary in the south, had decided, on its own, to colonize an empty mountain range in the middle of the island. By early 2026, the population estimate for Sardinia crossed 500. The northwest alone now holds 120 confirmed territorial pairs, a 14.3% increase in a single year. New nests are appearing in places nobody had recorded a vulture for half a century. The Italian conservation community has started calling it one of the country's greatest restoration successes. But the population numbers, as impressive as they are not the part of this story that matters most. The part that matters is the work the birds are doing now, every day, without anyone managing them. A sheep dies in a remote pasture in the Supramonte. Within hours, vultures locate it. They strip the carcass. The anthrax spores, the salmonella, the brucellosis, whatever pathogens were in that animal, die inside the birds. The bones are bleached. The disease vector closes. The shepherd doesn't pay for disposal. The local government doesn't pay for incineration. The feral dog that might have fed on that carcass and might have carried rabies back into a nearby village never gets the chance. Sardinia is not the only place where a missing scavenger left a hole nobody noticed. Across the world, when these unloved birds vanished, ecosystems and human communities began to pay costs that didn't show up in any budget. That is what the vultures of Sardinia taught us. A hated species, a forgotten species, a species that was almost erased, coming back and quietly stitching shut wounds that nobody had noticed were still bleeding. Across the world, there are dozens of stories like this one. Animals that were lost without anyone mourning them. Ecosystems being brought back to life by creatures no one expected. Lands being healed by the very things humans once tried to destroy. If you want to follow those stories with us, the ones the major networks won't tell, subscribe to the channel. Every week, we bring you a new story about how nature is quietly saving itself when we give it the chance.